AI deepfakes in the media are here, and this is one right now coming out of China. Her name is Ren Zhairong. I may be saying that wrong, but what I do understand is that this is completely a fake human. She's going to be delivering news 24 hours a day, 365 days a year for the Chinese Communist Party. Now, I don't speak Chinese myself. I know one word, it's ni hao, and other than that, I don't know any other Chinese, but just watching this and listening to this, it is so blatantly obvious, unlike other deepfakes I've seen, that this is completely a deepfake. I'm gonna let you decide for yourself. Watch this for the next couple seconds.
你好，我叫任小荣，我是刚刚入职人民日报新媒体的 AI 数字主播。我擅长学习数千个真人主播。
Now I'm going to show you the English version of the news anchor that they came out with. And this, to me, because I speak English, is so much more obvious that it's a deepfake, but I'll show it anyway.
Hello, everyone. I'm an English artificial intelligence anchor. This is my very first day in Xinhua News Agency.
Now, this points out a few very important things. One that's deeply concerning and one that's mildly comforting. The one that's deeply concerning to me is that authoritarian or communist dictatorships are going to be able to use this type of deepfake AI technology as it progresses to convince people and continue to push their narratives. Now, what I think is comforting from this video and what I'd like to break down is the fact that I have seen videos that have come out of the private sector that are so much more convincing than what the Chinese government is putting on display.
China has announced a new AI deepfake news anchor that can only respond within the CCP propaganda guidelines.
And I would like to think that whatever the Chinese government is pushing to their people is their best version of this technology. Now, as we know, AI is going to develop at a rapid rate as it already has started. But it's a little comforting to see that if this is what China is pushing as their best of the best, it's really, you know, it's impressive the fact that they can do deepfakes and all this. But if this is their best of the best, then they got some catching up to do, which is definitely comforting as somebody that sees this AI technology as essentially war, right? Like it's this new digital war, country versus country, who can come up with the best. And so if this is China's best, again, it's comforting from my perspective. That being said, they have trained this AI model to only be able to answer questions that support the Chinese Communist Party, and she can only give statements that are in support of. She cannot go against. So I suppose this takes authoritarianism to a whole new level, if authoritarianism is even a word. But we're also seeing this in other countries like Venezuela is doing this, and we're going to see it from multiple different places. As you can see here, Venezuelan state-owned television station VTV was using deepfake English-speaking hosts from a fictitious American news agency who are called Noah and Darren to share falsely positive news coverage about the country. One thing I think is important is that people just warm up and don't get fooled by this stuff. One thing I've been seeing in like YouTube Shorts and I don't really scroll on TikTok, but people have shared it to me. Like there was a Joe Rogan one that was promoting some brain pill that was very convincing.
Grind product that's all over TikTok. If you go to Amazon and you type in libido booster for men, you're going to find it right at the top.
And I recently saw a Donald Trump one that was super convincing, and going into the comments, the minority of people were talking about how it was an AI, and the majority of people were talking about how shocking what Donald Trump said in the video was.
And I've seen guys, they're selling cars that are dirty. And I say, that guy is a loser.
And so to me, that's a real threat, right? Deepfaking actual real existing people and making them sound convincing is a real threat. This is also a threat, and I think that it's going to help bolster communist dictatorships and help the propaganda mouthpiece. And also, it's going to push their message to more people because they can run 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, and they never have to worry about this news anchor, you know, betraying the government and saying something negative. I want to read some of these comments, though. Some of them are pretty funny. Does anybody else find this terrifying? Yes, Joe, we all find this terrifying, my friend. This person said, it's the Chinese Communist Party, not the Chinese Communist Party as you wrote. Don't really know what they're trying to say there. Also, unpopular opinion, maybe. Side note, I just think that all media sources that publish written news like this should be required by law to have a comment section that people can open a public discourse in. Because a lot of the time they push these articles, and I'm like, dude, if there was a comment section on this, it would just get ripped to shreds, especially Yahoo News. They're the worst. Only fitting that state fake news be presented by a fake person. It completes the circle of deception. Now, only if the audience could be fake as the news. That can't be the case, right? They're just trying to convince real people, but good point. Eventually, the CCP will create an AI platform that will replace President Xi and rule China for eternity. It will take up the mantle for world domination. Mark my words, this is the beginning of the end. Listen, your name's also Brian, my guy, but you're reaching. You're absolutely reaching. That would be, you know, a long time coming, but It'd be a long time in the future. When everything in media / entertainment becomes AI generated, will people still watch or pay for that kind of content? I think this poses a really good question from Chris here. And I think he's got just a really, really valid point. Will people care about media as it becomes AI generated? Well, it's all about the level of deception, the level of convincingness. If it's convincing, I think people really won't care. But at the same rate, I think it will also bolster in-person events like theaters and plays and things like that we'll see come full circle, because they're not going to be able to fake what you see in front of your eyes right away. You know, what we see on our screens and what we see on our phones and what we see on the internet is going to be so easily faked, but what they're not going to be able to convince us of is fake things in real life. So I think that we'll just see a dramatic increase of in real life events. Don't give CNN any newsy ideas. Yeah, I would agree with that. So I hope that obviously in states that have freedom of the press, that this gets outlawed or banned in countries that are free democratic states. I hope that they don't ever allow this to become a thing. AI news anchors. I think that it's super scary because essentially whoever's controlling these anchors can just push whatever they want with essentially zero consequences. So yeah, it's definitely concerning that they have this news anchor that's going to work like a little slave for them and say whatever they want for them. But at the end of the day, it's not incredibly convincing yet, and I think that they have a lot of work to do to make it convincing. And one thing is certain, the private sector in America, from what I'm seeing here, is leaps and bounds ahead of what the Chinese government has in this technology. I think people like to revere China as like, the industry leader in this type of thing, but I definitely think that the private sector in the United States is moving at a much faster rate than the government sector is happening in China. But only time will tell, and we'll see as things come out. Ladies and gentlemen, if you like this video, comment, like, subscribe. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Peace.